Hello my friends and welcome back. It's Monday, it's a new week. You're going to have a fantastic week. You know what's not having a fantastic week already? Russian ammunition depots. Yeah, that topic is not over. I would have never thought it continues for so long, but Ukrainians did it again. Yes, last week, Toropets ammunition depot, the explosion was so big that Norway registered an earthquake, a small one. Well, it happened again. Another ammunition depot was struck. We'll go through all of the footage and all of the analysis and even satellite imagery about the new explosion. But before we go to that, I want to just sum up the Toropets, the last week's destruction of Russian ammunition depot. I want to close that topic because now we have more final information about it that we didn't know before. I'll read you all about it, then we can just leave it there and focus into the bright future of ammunition depot destruction. According to the head of the Estonian, my country, Estonian Defense Forces Intelligence Center, Colonel Ants Kiviselg, the ammunition, which had not yet been stored indoors, was delivered to the depot by train just before the attack was launched. After it, the ammunition in the yard detonated along with the bunkers and depots. This is about the last week's Toropets ammunition explosion, which up to that date was the biggest single explosion in this war. The ammunition just arrived and had not yet been in the bunkers, and that says something about Ukrainian recon capabilities because they had eyes in the sky. They knew the exact moment, the hours, the window of a few hours when the ammunition was just offloaded from a train and not unloaded into the bunkers yet. And that's the window of time they struck. There were 30,000 tons of explosive objects or 750,000 rounds of ammunition that were detonated. On average, the Russian Federation released 10,000 shells in a week. So this ammunition supply was intended for 2 to 3 months. Russia has suffered ammunition losses as a result of this attack, and we will see the impact of these losses on the front in the coming weeks. I have nothing else to say than wow, very nice. And now a final summary to the last week's Toropets explosion before we forget about that topic. Russian media report that because of detonation of the 107th arsenal of Grau in Toropets, the earthquake of 2.8 points was recorded and windows were broken 5 kilometers away. This looks like a strike on a largest ammunition warehouse during the full-scale war. And here are a few points what exactly was destroyed. The estimated power of the explosion is 1.3 to 1.8 kilotons. The blast wave has spread 200 to 300 kilometers. It's a huge kaboom. Why I'm going over this for the third video is that I cannot really explain how big it really was. You can just see it on the footage. The fire has not been extinguished yet. Toropets has been evacuated. More than 100 attack drones were allegedly used in the attack on the ammunition depot in Toropets. According to some sources, significant stocks of North Korean ballistic missiles for Grad and S-300 air defense systems and Iskander ballistic missiles were allegedly destroyed at the depot in Toropets. Ooh, king of the castle, very nice, it's beautiful. Alright, with that we'll sum up the last week's explosion, but it's not over because Ukraine did it again, as I mentioned to you. 4 Ukrainian cabinet ministers submit resignations ahead of expected government shakeup. It is a very big deal because among the ministers is Dmytro Kuleba, a Ukrainian long-serving foreign minister that has served the whole duration of the full-scale war. Let's look at this news coverage and bias distribution through Ground News, the #1 news comparison site in the world. Let's begin with the bias distribution. 37% of the sources lean left, 27% lean right. 36% are center. The most important thing in my eyes is factuality. 63% of the sources are high factuality. Anything below high factuality, in my eyes, is not worth reading. And finally, the ownership chart, which outlines beautifully who are the owners of the news sites covering this news. This shows something about their bias or about their hidden agenda. If we scroll down on the list of news sites covering this, we find RIA Novosti, which is Russian affiliated. Immediately, ground news tells us that this is a government of Russia, low factuality and leaning right. So in my eyes, it is not worth reading. But we scroll up a little bit, we see VOA News, which is government of United States, global media, high factuality and center. Now this I would read. Also on my ground news homepage, I can click the For You tab, and this takes me to my favorite news topics which I want to follow. I can tick Ukraine war and Ukrainian topics, apply changes. I will see only these topics, articles, keeping everything else away from me. Compare news coverage, spot media bias. Avoid algorithms. Try Ground News today and get 40% off your subscription by going to ground.news/Artur. Ground News has been a trusted sponsor of this channel for over a year, and every time they sponsor my videos, I'm very happy about it. Thank you, Ground News, for sponsoring today's video. Link is in the description below. Alright, my friends, I will watch this video with you and be ready when you thought you've seen it all last week with the biggest explosion. Well, you're in for a ride. I want to watch this one with sound. На дорогу, Tasha, дорогу. That means, Tasha, look at the road. You're driving, look at the road. Because Tasha wants to look at this big kaboom. Because not every day you have New Year's again. Dasha is the driver, obviously, and she is missing out because she cannot look at the big boom. Я вижу дорогу. I will see the road. She's like mad at her mother. It's like, I see the road, Mom. Now let me look at this ammunition. It's like... So pretty. Look at this mushroom cloud. My God, that's the introduction. That happened after the Toropets ammunition explosion. It's another ammunition depot that Ukraine struck. It seems to be a systematic approach. They're taking away Russian ammunition. Now, with this explosion, Ukrainian UAV swarms have destroyed 30 to 60 days of ammo for the Russian army in just a few days. That's more than half a year's production. That's also the equivalent of largest NATO ammo storage in Europe. Damn! Explosion of an ammunition depot in Krasnodar region, Tikhoretsk village or city near it. Locals are evacuated due to detonation after a drone raid. Regional Governor Kondratiev said that the fire in the storage facility started because of a falling debris from a downed UAV in the village of Kameny. The Russian Defense Ministry claims 101 downed drones overnight. My friends, this cannot get any more juicier. They claim it was the falling debris. They shot down 100 drones. Now let's see what they really mean about the falling debris, because Ukrainians are trolling the hell out of the Russians. Check this out. This is a new Ukrainian drone, oblomok, however you pronounce it, and it's supposed to be meaning in Ukrainian debris. They named their drone debris because the Russian Ministry of Defense, every time there's a huge explosion and destruction, they say, oh, it's a falling debris. We shot down all the drones, but the debris hit the buildings and bada bing, bada boom, we lost everything. Well, this drone is called debris. So you're right, Mr. Russian Ministry of Defense person, the debris hit the building. And now a more in-depth analysis of how Ukraine does it, as the Estonian Defense Intelligence personnel reported that it was done with a brief few-hour time window when the ammunition was offloaded and then hadn't been unloaded into bunkers yet. That was the last explosion. Now with this explosion, the same thing happened. Check it out. An alleged drone strike has targeted the Tikhoretsk ammo depot, according to early reports. The depot, closely monitored by front agents inside for its role in the artillery ammo logistics, gained international attention in 2023 following the arrival of North Korean ammo. The Tikhoretsk ammo depot was expanded in 2023 to store North Korean munitions. Most ammo arrived by train in containers, unloaded and stored in revetments, especially pits in the ground under open sky. Civilian trucks then transported the munitions to front lines. The ammunition didn't remain at the depot for long, as it was quickly moved to the front lines. This makes it more of a temporary storage site than a long-range facility in 2024. The success of this strike largely depended on the timing of the most recent ammo delivery. Timing. That's the key with these attacks. Given the near total destruction of the 107th Grau arsenal in Toropets, Tver Oblast, and the successful strike on the 23rd Grau arsenal, the hit on Tikhoretsk can be a serious blow not only to ammunition supplies but also to the logistics supporting the entire force groupings. While the extent of the damage is unclear, as of late 2023, the Tikhoretsk depot lacked any proper cover for ammunition revetments. Given that the ammo of the Toropets depot detonated despite being stored in bunkers, well, it wasn't, that we found out. The chances of ammo surviving in open-air pits are even lower. And now I just wanna show you how the Russians are storing this ammunition. Every time a huge shipment of ammunition comes in with trains, it is offloaded next to the tracks. It is not unloaded into the bunkers because it usually immediately goes to the front lines, and there's a few hour time window where it's just sitting there and then the trucks unload it and take it away. So this time window, the Russians don't wanna do anything properly, so they don't want to put it in their bunkers because it's gonna go away anyway. Who's gonna attack us within the next 4 hours? The debris did. But as you can see on this satellite imagery, these are the ammunition bunkers, whatever the earthworks around, whatever you call them, they're made by the Russians to just keep this explosion from happening by isolating different ammunition depots. If one explodes, it's supposed to, not spread, really. This is what ammunition depots are built for, like that, with defenses around them. Well, but you see these boxes here. This is the ammunition under bare sky, open sky, not unloaded into the bunkers because, hey, we're Russians. We don't want to work. Who wants to work when this ammunition is going to the front lines anyway? Hey, who's gonna attack us? It's Russia. Nobody attacks Russia except for the falling debris. Bada bing, bada boom. The second biggest explosion throughout this war happened a few days ago, right here. And as you can see, of course, this explosion was also visible from space because it was so damn big. You can see the satellite imagery right here. September 21st was the date of the second explosion. And just to give you an idea where it exactly was on a map, then this was the second explosion, Tikhoretsk ammunition site, 23rd Grau arsenal. It is, if you go over the Azov Sea, there's Yeisk, the port, and you can see it on the map right here. And here is a little joke for you, because the first Toropets and the Tikhoretsk explosion, they happened almost within 24 hours, and the two biggest explosions of this entire war. So it was 0 days without a Ukrainian-made UAV flying 500 kilometers across our border to destroy 30 days of our ammo. 0 being replaced with 0. God damn it. Stupid. I'm having too much fun. I should stop. I'll continue with the fun because I enjoy reporting explosions in Russia, and another one happened. We don't have footage of this, but we have the aftermath. The testing of the RS-28 Sarmat at the Blazhetsk test site near Arkhangelsk region, to put it mildly, is a failure. And I love that the whole region, like a massive area in Russia, is called Archangel, Arkhangelsk. Where do you live? I live in the Archangel. Like, it's cool. And it's like villain-like. Based on satellite footage, the missile exploded in a silo, leaving a huge crater and destroying the test site. And bada bim, bada boom, look at this black hole here. This was a missile silo. By the way, Sarmat, or in Russian, Satan, yes. I kid you not. They named their biggest, heaviest, and newest ICBM That's what it is. It's an ICBM for nuclear weapons. Sarmat, or Satan in Russian. Satan, the biggest missile. And there are, like, this is so stupid, there are priests of Russian Orthodoxy blessing this Sarmat missile. So the priests are blessing a missile called Satan, which is a device of mass destruction. This is what Russian Orthodoxy is all about. I mean, this is why Ukraine banned it and also Moldova banned it. Estonia is also about to ban it, I think. How do you come up with that stuff? This is very villain-like to me. If I was Russian, I would think like, are we the bad guys? Because we have a missile called Satan and we're blessing it. Anyway, going on. Having way too much fun. This is at least the fourth failed attempt to test the Sarmat heavy ICBM, which the Russians constantly scare London and Washington with. Every time a Russian propagandist says we should blow up London or Washington with a nuclear weapon, they mean with Sarmat missile, the newest missile that cannot be shot down. Well, this missile don't need to be shot down because it explodes on Russian territory. And it's beautiful. Let's watch a video from a Russian unit. It's 30 seconds. That's the extent of our humanitarian aid. It's the whole Ural truck. Let me show you again. And you can see water in it. That's it. Guys are finishing up now because the soldiers asked for water. Because there is absolutely no water. They've even asked for tablets to disinfect the puddle water or dirty water. The soldiers don't get so sick when they drink from the puddle. They need them. So I think you realize the scale of the disaster, don't you? That is it. So we don't really talk about it much. This is an issue both with the Ukrainians and the Russians. It's not isolated to the Russians, but Russians have a bigger issue with it because Ukrainians just tend to take more care of their soldiers. Russian units, some of the units have run out of water. And it's a really big issue because, like, besides oxygen, water is the next most important thing you need. Like, you can go without food, with low morale for a week, but without water, I mean, you cannot even move soon. You cannot fight. It's physically very demanding, and it's quite hot still in some areas in southern Ukraine. So you need water. They have run out. So they drink dirty water. Then you know what happens when you drink dirty water. If you don't die, you mostly don't. I mean, it's possible you're gonna get diarrhea, which means you don't get enough food in your system and energy, and it's really bad for you. You get malnutrition. So they are trying to send these disinfection tablets so the soldiers can drink water from puddles, and it's a really big issue because thousands of soldiers are affected by it, and soldiers need a lot of water, a lot. We're talking truckloads daily, truckloads of water. And to keep it going back and forth while Ukrainian drones are hunting these trucks down, I mean, this is one of the most efficient ways to take water away from thousands of Russian troops. And that's what's happening. That's what Ukraine is doing. And now they're at a place where it's the truth. As soon as the rainfall begins and as soon as the snow begins, even with the rainfall already, this issue will be solved because the soldiers can collect rainwater and that's fine. But right now it's quite dry in southern Ukraine. Sometimes it rains, it's quite hot. You cannot drink from the bottle, otherwise you'll have diarrhea. So for the next 2-3 weeks yet, before the rains, before the Raspuditsa, it's an issue. It will solve itself in a month, but right now that's a big issue. Hey, I got a little meme for you again. I will destroy you and take all of your land. And this is Ukraine being scared and the Western allies saying, Ukraine, why don't you want peace? Make peace with Russia. Come on, Ukraine, why you gotta be like that? Why you gotta be so aggressive, man? Why you gotta be a warmonger? Make peace, bro. Peace, not war. Make love, not war. Brother, I'm a pacifist. Yeah, if you're a pacifist right now in the West, you might as well move to Russia because that's what they're pushing in the West. So, not very good to be a pacifist if the other side just wants to kill you and not caring about if you're a pacifist. I'm definitely not a pacifist. I'm almost pro-war at this point because, Russia needs peace. They need negotiations. The only way to win is to keep hammering at them and teach them a proper lesson like we did with the Nazi Germany. The Soviets never got the spanking. Now it's their turn. Alright, enough with the fun. I gotta read you some very serious analysis about Ukrainian long-range strike capabilities. It's a very long thread, but I'll read you only the 5 first points. It's about summarizing thing, so you know. You can talk about it like an expert after this. This week's strikes on Russian munition storage facilities are part of a maturing Ukrainian strategic strike campaign. Long-range strike has been an important strategic adaptation for the Ukrainians since 2022. There is much other nations can learn from this. To inform this exploration lessons, we need to understand the components and functions of the Ukrainian strike complex. There are 5 key components to the Ukrainian strike complex. This first is reconnaissance and surveillance. The mensuration of targets is an important part of any strike system. You cannot strike what you cannot find or target accurately. The Ukrainians have become adept at this during the war. However, it is more than just access to commercial satellite data. The second component is a joint strike, planning and coordination. This is an area where Ukrainians have adopted NATO joint targeting doctrine. NATO doctrine notes that joint targeting is fundamentally an integration function that requires participation from the strategic and operational levels. All joint forces, staff elements and component commands, along with various non-military organizations. Now, this is one of the most important things that differentiates between Ukrainian military and Russian military. Russian military is a very top-down heavy system of leadership and one of the biggest issues, besides from logistics, is coordination between different army groups. Air Force does not coordinate with artillery. Drone units do not coordinate with other land units. They all work separately, getting orders from up above, and they don't work on the same level with the same goal. There's a lot of blue on blue, or in the Russian case, red on red incidents where they shoot their own guys because they don't coordinate. And why? Because it's so damn difficult. Coordination between huge groups of men or units, different strike capabilities, artillery versus drones versus tanks versus planes. It's so difficult to coordinate that stuff. Takes a lot of efficient communication, takes a lot of practice, takes specialized units for coordination, who coordinate different bits of information that comes in and spread them out to the right people who need to see them on the front or up above. United States is king on that. They are the best in coordinating between different forces, different, how do you call them, like Air Force versus Navy. I'm sorry, my English is not that good to explain this, but the main point is United States is decades ahead with that. They're the king of coordination. They can joint strike everything. Russia is not that good with it. Different groups of army don't talk to each other. Ukraine is now learning the United States way of war, and these strikes are the effect of that. You cannot strike like that if you don't have coordination between recon, the strike crew, and the measuring of the effect of the strike later. Like, what did we exactly hit? All of that is so important. The third component is the strike systems themselves. Over the course of the war, Ukraine's arsenal of strike weapons has continuously expanded and adapted. From mid-2022, Ukraine has demonstrated the ability to absorb and use very precise long-range rocket systems against the Russians, such as the HIMARS and MLRS systems. It now also has maritime and air-launched weapons, including their first ever cruise missile / drone, Balyanitsia, which is like a jet cruise missile drone. It's a mixture of all of that. The fourth component is deception and survivability. To plan and execute strike activities, Ukraine has become adept at deception and camouflage operations to ensure that the systems such as HIMARS and the locations of its strike aircraft and missiles are hidden as much as possible from Russian intelligence and strike target planners. Indeed, a small cottage industry has arisen in Ukraine to construct an array of decoy tanks, HIMARS, and other weapon systems. Ukraine, people don't talk about it. People usually focus on the fact of how much money has been given to Ukraine, why they haven't won yet with that money. I'm not going to go into it, but I'm just going to say that the fact that Ukraine has lost, I think, 2 HIMARS systems. Was it 1 or 2 HIMARS systems and 1 or 2 Patriot systems? Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but it's up to 2 of both. in 2.5 years of full-scale war with the biggest country and a nuclear power of the world, which supposedly was supposed to be the second army in the world. This is an incredible feat of hide and seek. Ukrainians have been able to hide their longer range strike capabilities, the launchers and the radar systems. I mean, they're the devil. They can hide them, they're almost invisible. It's such a compliment that Ukraine has lost so few of their systems. The fifth and final component is strike assessment. The Ukrainians undertake post-strike assessments. These activities ascertain whether strike achieved their objectives. These assessments also seek reasons for the failure of the strikes, including technical problems in the missile or drones used, as well as Russian defensive methods that either defeated the strike system en route or at the target. Now, what's the difference here between Ukrainian army and Russian army? Because in the Russian army, the top guys don't want bad news. That's a fact. They want results at any price, and if you don't get the results, you gotta fake them, otherwise you're gone. So if they strike something, let's say that they destroy half of the Ukrainian capabilities they wanted to destroy. Let's say they wanted to destroy some kind of a depot where there were 10 tanks. They destroyed 2, which is okay, but they needed to destroy 10. So what the guys will say to the DOP in Russia is, oh, we destroyed 10 because kaboom happened. But they cannot say the truth, otherwise the generals will not be happy and they will replace you. It's really bad in Russia if you get replaced, because usually you go out of the window or to the front. That means the 8 tanks Ukraine saved will not be struck again because the top guys don't give another order to strike again because they think 10 tanks are destroyed. This is how Russians report, oh, 1,000 tanks destroyed yesterday. Altogether, it was like 3 maybe. When Ukraine strikes Russian 10 tanks, let's just use this example, somewhere on the ground, they destroy 2 out of 10. Kind of a failed attack, they won a 10. The guys report up that we destroyed 2 because we missed the other 10 tanks, or the drones were shot down. So the top guys are like, hey, why did we miss? Why they shot down drones? We gotta change this, that, and strike again next month. And they do, and they destroy 10 tanks. Ukrainians learn from the failures. They are not failures, they're lessons for the Ukrainians. For the Russians, they are failures that are brushed under the carpet and nobody ever learns from them because the system is not set up this way. That's the big difference. The post-strike effect assessment, however you call it. Ukrainians analyze the hell out of that stuff and then make changes to their strike capabilities. I like it. Improvise, adapt, overcome. With the next news, there's a little bit of wordplay. You know, the last big explosion was Tikhoretsk ammunition depot, and now we're going to TikTok of China. Russia is furious that China's TikTok just deleted the Russia's RT and Sputnik accounts. Why? I mean, Russia and China on paper are the best of friends. Why China doing this? Why backstabbing to Russia? Sputnik described this as a globalist attack against Russia, accused TikTok of being co-opted by the United States deep state, and even shared a meme on X. Damn it. I mean, Russia and China, they're not even friends, they're frenemies. Russia is not looking for it, but China is just waiting to gobble up Russia. They want to play with the big boys, with the United States, and for that they need Russian resources. So for as long as it takes, this war goes on and weakens Russia. China is so ready. They have already gobbled up the airplane industry in Russia, the car industry. 90% of new vehicles sold in Russia are made in China. I mean, if we just think about those numbers for a moment, this means that your country's cars all come from China. Russian car industry has just lost everything. There's nothing left. There are cars on Russian streets, but they're Chinese. This says a lot more than just that China is helping Russia. No, they are owning Russia. They're making a slave out of Russia. This next video is so good because it's a Russian state Duma member talking about Estonians, my country, my citizens, me. And I gotta it's 40 seconds long. I gotta read the subtitles. Okay, this is like the top politician of Russia, basically, the state Duma member. If Darwin's theory is the only correct one, like Marx's capital, then what about LGBT? It seems they completely disprove it, leaving no stone unturned in their theory. At least I agree with old Darwin in part about Poles, Estonians and Latvians. Hey, that's me. They definitely came from monkeys, apes and earthworms. Who do I came from? I think I am from an earthworm. No, I'm a monkey. I'm sorry for being so stupid today. I mean, I'm in a very giggly mood. And maybe you will have a fantastic week because of it. I'm going to have one. I'm an earthworm, man. I'm an earthworm and I like it. Обезьянов. Обезьян is monkey in Russian. We Russians, Belarusians, our allies and friends are God's creatures, created by Him in His image and greatness. Oh no, I am not created according to God's image. I am descended from an earthworm. But that had to be a protein earthworm, damn. My friends, last Friday, 3 days ago, I announced the winner of Ukrainian Fire drone T-shirt, and it was Duncan Foster. And I'm gonna send out right now, Duncan Foster, right here. You wrote to me with your address, so I put it in, calculate shipping, continue the review and pay. I'm going to send you your shirt. Pay securely now. Order submitted successfully. You will get a shirt within a week, my friend. The other winner, David Kartvrikt, has not answered to me back because I wrote to you an email, but you haven't answered. So you are the other winner. And next coming Friday, also new winners are, I will just pick one of the new YouTube members and one of the Buy Me a Coffee new members and just send you guys Ukrainian Fire drone T-shirts. Even if you don't want them, I will send them to you forcefully and your grandmother will wear them. So I just become a member of either one of those, doesn't really matter, and I'll just get a Ukrainian Fire drone T-shirt your way. Now I'll butcher some Buy Me a Coffee monthly members and I'll begin with Andrew Balashevsky. That's a Polish family name. Hey, you're a descendant from an earthworm, just like me. Patti Rehi Moreno. Edgar Amador Martinez Jackson. Reali Brian Hall. Thank you to these monthly Buy Me a Coffee members. Until my next video, my friends, which will be on Wednesday, be sure to be back. Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye.